Shall I
Yeah,
start?
ready to go.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final episode of the year for the AppliedHE Squaring the Circle debate. The motion to be debated tonight is unpaid internships for students should be banned. My name is Mandy, and I'm the founder and CEO of AppliedHE. AppliedHE is the new kid on the block with the aim of creating an alternative solution in ranking, rating, and branding that better serves the need of more learning and employability-focused applied universities, which I believe are dominant all over the world. In a nutshell, AppliedHE is an international higher education service provider that specializes in evaluation, branding, marketing, and professional networking solutions. We are rooted in Asia, and we aim to positively disrupt the global higher education sector. Tonight's Squaring the Circle debate is presided over by debate master Dr. Kevin Downing. He is the Secretary to Council and Court and Director of the Institutional Research Office of the City University of Hong Kong. Thank you very much. And thanks also to our speakers from the UK, South Africa, the Netherlands, and Germany. They will be pulling all stops to convince you that they are right. So over to you now, Kevin. Please do your best to manage them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mandy, and welcome everyone. Before I introduce our distinguished panel of speakers, I think I'm going to take the pre-poll. The way this runs is we take a poll from all attendees on the motion. You can vote for or against, and I'll give you a minute to do that in a moment or two. Then I will introduce the speakers. They will each have 5 minutes without visual aids to convince you of their argument for or against the motion. And then the floor will be thrown open to all attendees. So you need to learn how to put your hand up so that we in Zoom, so that I can come to you and give you an opportunity to make your point for or against the motion. And then right at the very end, in about 45-50 minutes time, we will have another vote to see if you've changed your mind or to see whether you are fixed in your views. So the motion we are going to vote on right now, before I introduce the panel, is unpaid internships for students should be banned. That's unpaid internships for students should be banned. Now, I've just gone to do the poll at the bottom, and it seems to have disappeared. That's strange. Just bear with me. Yes, got it. Okay, here's the poll. You have 1 minute. You have 2 choices. All it says here is choice 1 and choice 2. Mandy, is this poll live? Is there a problem? It doesn't look like it normally does. Can't hear you, you're muted.
Simon, can you respond to that, please?
Yes, it's live.
Okay, so I assume choice 1 means that you agree and choice 2 means you disagree, because my screen says choice 1 and choice 2. Okay, it should normally say agree or disagree. It doesn't at the moment. So choice 1 is agree. You agree that unpaid internships for students should be banned. And choice 2 is disagree. You don't think that unpaid internships for students should be banned. So I can see people are voting. Come on, guys, you've only got another 30 seconds to go. And then I'm going to stop the vote. Only half of you have voted so far. So choice 1 is agree, choice 2 is disagree. Keep going. We've got 21 people have voted so far. There's still many more people to vote. So please cast your vote now. You have 15 seconds. 14, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now. Many of you haven't voted. That's fine. I'm going to end the poll. We'll come back to that later. I've ended the poll and the results show different to what I ended the poll with. Anyway, never mind. I will share the results that I've got here so everyone can see them. Okay, so 57% agree with the motion, 43% disagree with the motion, and a large number of people haven't voted. Only 23 people voted from our group, which is twice that size. So anyway, there you go. I'm going to stop sharing that. We must remember those results. 57 and 43. I'm just writing that down. And now I'm going to introduce our distinguished panelists. We're very, very lucky this evening to have with us proposing the motion from the UK. We have Professor Judith Lammy, who's the Pro-Vice Chancellor International at Swansea University in United Kingdom. Prior to joining Swansea, Prof. Lammy worked as a higher education consultant and holds a wealth of experience in various strategic and internationally focused senior roles within several institutions. She's also published and presented widely in applied linguistics, I better be careful how I speak, change management, and international higher education. Her latest book with Prof. Chris Hill, The Evolution of Transnational Education, Pathways, Globalization, and Emerging Trends, was published in January 2022 by my publisher, well done, Taylor and Francis. This book examines issues of identity, positionality, value, and relevance, and explores where transnational higher education is headed and what form it may take. I will certainly order that. Looks like a very interesting read, Judith. So welcome. Judith is one of our proposers. Our second proposer is Dr. Nico Joost, founding member and director of the African Centre for Higher Education and Internationalization. He's joining us from Port Elizabeth in South Africa. He has he's had a diverse higher education career before formally entering the higher education internationalization field around 22 years ago, bringing with him senior university management experience and experience as a senior higher education lecturer. He believes that internationalization is part of the institutional academic project and not just an administrative activity, and that fundamental research about the practice of internationalization and development of the field as an academic discipline should be integrated and practiced throughout the institution. And he's proposing the motion, along with Judith, unpaid internships for students should be banned. That's an interesting one to reconcile with your backgrounds. Okay, let's now go to our opposers who face the uphill task, because only 43% of you disagreed with the motion. First of all, I'd like to introduce you to Professor Perry Hobson, Director of Academy of Tourism at Breda University of Applied Sciences in the Netherlands. You can't miss the fact that it's Breda University. There's a big orange sign behind him, and the Netherlands is orange right behind him. So welcome to Perry. He recently relocated to Europe to take up the role as Director of the Academy of Tourism at Breda. He's lived and worked in UK, USA, and here in Hong Kong, where I'm at the moment. And he's held a variety of senior academic roles in Australia and Malaysia. He was PVC for Global Engagement at both Taylor's and Sunway University in KL. During his 7 years working at Taylor's, he initiated and later led their ranking strategy. Over the years, he's been responsible for initiating and managing various transnational education relationships, actively involved in international accreditation, and has served as editor-in-chief of the Journal of Vacation Marketing since '99. He's also a visiting professor at Management Center Innsbruck in Austria, an adjunct prof at Ton Duc Tang University in Vietnam. He sits on the International Advisory Board of the University of Ostrava in the Czech Republic. So welcome to you, Perry.
Thank you.
And last but not least, no stranger to those of us in AppliedHE or indeed in international higher education, I'd like to welcome Professor Dr. Moritz van Rooyen, Chief Academic Officer at the Global University Systems and President for University of Europe for Applied Sciences in Germany. Although he tells me he's calling from Potsdam in the Netherlands. Is that right?
No. In Germany.
Yeah.
In Germany.
In Germany, sorry.
It's one of our campuses. Very beautiful campus, by the way.
It does sound very, very Dutch, doesn't it? But yeah.
They do have a Dutch Viertal here, a German part, a Dutch part in Potsdam. So
okay, so
yes,
Professor van Rooyen has held visiting and honorary appointments at universities globally in his academic field, which is sustainable urbanization. And he's published widely on international education and university management. He's actively involved in various international organizations and is a long-serving co-chairman of the World Association for Cooperative and Work Integrated Learning. And he's former president of the Compostela Group of Universities from 2008 to 2016. He has various international awards, including Constance Meldrum Prize for Vision and Leadership in 2012, and the Emblema Oro or Golden Insignia of the Universidad Santiago de Compostela from 2014. Since mid-90s, Prof. Moritz has served on the executive of European Access Network, currently based in Belgium. That's why I never know where he is, and is the only global organization wholly dedicated to advancing access and widening participation to higher education. So a warm welcome to our four speakers. The way this goes is I will ask Judith to speak first in proposition. I will then go to Perry, second in opposition. I will then go to Nico to support Judith and speak for the motion. And then last but not least, I will go to Prof. Moritz to ask him to speak last, opposing the motion. I will then throw it open. If those of you at home or in your offices see me do this, that's just telling the speaker they have 1 minute left. And I'll be very brutal. I will mute them after 5 minutes. So that way everyone gets a fair crack of the whip. So, okay, let's begin without further ado. Professor Judith Lamy will now speak for the motion. Thank you, Judith.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you, Kevin. Right, we recently had a new kitchen fitted in our house. And we had plumbers in, bear with, to fit the washing machine, and we had electricians in to fit the cooker, and we had decorators in to do the plastering, and we had a carpenter in to fit the units. Dave the carpenter, they're always called Dave, and he had a new intern with him, Wayne, with a very impressive hairstyle, but I can tell you about that later on. Anyway, Dave was an impressively precise man, an essential skill, you know, if you're fitting units and worktops, and he took great pride in his job. And he was very good at it. It was wonderful seeing him work with the very young Wayne, showing him how to make sure that everything was measured correctly according to the plans. And he also demonstrated in a more subtle way how to work in a client's home, such as myself, how to be polite and informative, chat, but not spend too much time chatting. And how not only to follow the correct health and safety guidelines, but how to take pride in his job, tidying up after himself and making sure at the end of the day that, you know, the place was tidier than when they arrived. It was an absolute masterclass. Wayne, the intern, was being paid, obviously not as much as Dave, but, you know, then he's at the beginning of his career. It can be a real challenge securing a job, particularly your first job after you leave school, college, or university. Employers want you to be qualified, but they also want you to have experience. How can you get that initial experience? One way is an internship. An internship, and I'm sure you'll all know this, is a period of work that gives people, mostly students or graduates, the opportunity to gain new skills and experience in a profession that they want to get into. They're great for learning new skills, and they can range in length, you know, from a couple of months to a year or more. They vary in their job specification, with some, you know, asking you to oversee certain tasks, or other giving you the opportunity to oversee sort of major projects. And I think it's safe to say that interns have probably been given more responsibility nowadays. That distinguishes them from work experience placements. Now, the first, I think, and most important advantage of pursuing an internship is that you get to integrate the knowledge and skills you've learned in the seminar room or the Zoom class or the lecture hall with actual work experience. They help you to test out the practical aspects of what you know and focus on how you do the particular job. All internships in the UK should be paid. That is my point here. Unpaid internships are wrong. Legally, anyone who's defined as a worker must at least earn the minimum wage. Some might still be unpaid, and some companies do this, and they might offer some compensation, but certainly in the UK, all of these should be paid. Now, there might be some scenarios where you might work and you might not get paid. You might be doing volunteering work, for example. Otherwise, you should be paid. However, it's not just about a legal requirement. You're more likely to take the role seriously if you're being paid. With money comes responsibility. You've been paid to do something, so you should do it to the best of your ability. Paying encourages accountability and commitment. It also, secondly, increases morale. You're much more likely to feel one of the team if you're treated in the same way. Thirdly, we've all got bills. We all need to pay them. You know, no one, or at least very few of us, can afford to work for free. You know, so we all should be paid for the work that we're doing. Fourthly, and this isn't entirely altruistic for the employer, it's better for your reputation if you pay your intern. It shows you care about your employees, whoever they are, and whatever their role that they perform. You know, they're important to you. And finally, for the employer, you might be lucky enough to find a rising star, and having an intern is a good way of doing that. So finally, has Wayne, going back to my kitchen, found the right career for him? I don't know. What I do know is that he took great care in what he was doing. He gained some excellent experience and valued experience from David, that expert professional. Wayne's building up a network of key associates who may be able to advise and support him in his future chosen profession, and is working for a company that values its employees. We all want and deserve to be valued. That's why interns should be paid. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judith, for that passionate exposition and life story of Wayne and David. That's very helpful. It's funny, isn't it, how all builders are called David. Many of my I'm having a house built in the UK at the moment, and they have this joke: whenever a new builder comes on site, or a bricklayer, they call him Dave until he tells them otherwise. Okay, thank you very much. I'm now going to move to the first speaker for the opposition, and that's Professor Perry Hobson. Perry, you have 5 minutes beginning now.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction, and thanks very much for those opening comments. And, you know, at first one would think that it sounds so logical, as we can see a number of the people that are joining us this evening, this afternoon, or this morning, wherever you are in the world, might say that, yes, interns should all be paid. It sounds so logical, doesn't it? The value that we've heard about, no one should have to work for free. But hang on a moment. We need to stand back and think about this a little bit more. For a start, when people are at universities or in colleges of advanced education, let's face it, they're paying fees to be there. Or if they're not paying them, the government is. That is training and education. Now, what we're able to do in many fields, and mine is a particular one of hospitality and tourism, We've had internships ever since these programs began because we've always understood the importance of them. And indeed, many are paid. But hang on a moment, should they all be paid? That's what we're being asked about. Now, as I said, we have to think about this. The education environment, we're not paying our students to sit in our classrooms. They're paying to learn. Many of us run training restaurants and hotels. So we don't pay those for those classes in the training restaurants. When we think about this, we also have to think about when this goes into the workforce. Because after all, the companies have to invest an enormous amount in those interns. Now, for sure, some internships require fair minimum amount of training, and they may be a job. And in fact, that's one of the arguments that's often thrown against even having internships, is they're taking away real jobs and other people's work. But often those sorts of jobs, if you are on a paid hourly, but how do you get to do what a lot of interns want to do, which is get to know more about the company, how it works. So it's not a skill that is immediately remunerated by the company. So I could train someone to be a waiter for a couple of weeks, and then they gain experience, but also are doing a job. But in other situations, that's not the case. So they may be spending a lot of time doing other, exploring the company, working on projects, getting to know how a company works, being around, understanding the politics of the place, all those sorts of things. But to pay them to do this. So this is the issue we've got to think about, is the mentoring, the cost to the company for being able to do that. Furthermore, paid internships work very well, and I'm not decrying them at all, because often they're very narrow in terms of what they do, because it is a paid role. Unpaid internships allow people to explore many other things within the company. Now, sadly, the proposer was very dismissive of, for example, volunteering. But of course, many volunteer organizations do take on interns. And yes, many of the volunteers who work for these organizations are not paid, but many of their management are paid. But if they take on interns, should they also be paid? I mean, after all, they're learning about the management. And let's face it, we've got many refugee organizations, not-for-profit organizations. So I really don't think that we should be saying that they should be paid either, which is what this motion is employing. So when we look at that across all the different types of internships, we have to say that they may be incompatible. We have to ask ourselves whether many organizations, who've got staff, whether all the roles when an intern goes in. Now, universities have also compounded and made additional problems for many employers. They've shortened semesters. So many internships initially with 6 months, then it got reduced to a semester. Now we hear terms such as micro internships. Well, really, we're not able to get our students in there with enough time to be able to contribute financially to the company. So it's very simple to say everyone should be paid. And on a gut feeling, that sounds plausible, it sounds right. But we also have to think about this from an employer's point of view. And if we want more internships to be available. Now, again, some people say, oh, this is elitist, it's discriminatory, etc. But it opens up doors into worlds that otherwise students cannot get any access to. So that's why I believe that internships should not always have to be paid. And that's why I'm against this particular motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Perry. You've got applause from Moritz there. Your arguments, to sum up, internships might be regarded as taking away real jobs. There's a cost to the company. There are other types of internship involving volunteer organizations, and that it's very important to look at this through the lens of the employers, plus many other points along the way. So thank you very much. I'm now going to go, without further ado, to South Africa. It's wonderful how you can trip around the world here. To Dr. Nico Joost, who's in South Africa. Nico's going to speak for the motion that unpaid internships for students should be banned. Nico, you have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Good afternoon from South Africa. Judith, thank you for introducing the topic so aptly with the example. I think we must be clear when we talk about internships. I don't think volunteers should be seen in that same category as internships. And perhaps let's just think a little bit back where does this all came from? And Perry, you're correct. In South Africa, when we still had our applied science universities, the technicons, all of them had to do integrated learning, which was part of the curriculum, and students were placed for a short while at employers, which was actually not sourced by the student, but by the university. And there was a contract between the university and the employer to place some of the students there for experience. And that's more experiential learning than internships. I think we must be clear that the world of work have changed. And where we are today, we must also recognize that the world isn't flat. And if I'm talking from a South African point of view, students that go as interns in an environment where there is inequality, where sometimes the graduate now needs to find the experience, as Judith have clearly said, and before they could find a job, they need the experience. If we don't force employers to pay for this, we will just enhance the inequality of society, because you find students working for employers, and big businesses are the big employers of interns. And if they get that skill, and as I said, the world of work have changed, and there's a whole lot of new skills that are required in the world of work and in employment places, which these students who are now fresh from university or from other skilled spaces, and we mustn't only think it's universities, it's the like the plumbers, the electricians, etc. They're bringing new skills into the space. I don't think it's fair that companies can keep on, as they did in the past, exploiting for a while these people with new skills while they actually enhancing their own position in the workplace, etc. So why I'm now saying that all internships should be paid. We should make sure that we, through internships, don't contribute to inequality. Secondly, the world of work have changed to such a nature that if you have a formal internship that's paid, there's at least some contract, and there's a safeguard both ways to the employer and the employee that talk about health and safety, all those issues in the workplace. And then thirdly, I do believe that why it's important for internships to be paid is that the responsibility goes then both ways. Judith aptly said that the paid intern have a greater responsibility to deliver at a different level than an unpaid intern. And for that, to conclude, Kevin, a survey that was done lately by the US News indicated that 65.4% of all paid interns were offered a job after the paid internship, whilst only about 30% of unpaid interns were offered a job after the internship. So in this, I think, lies some of the evidence that we are looking for, that the current way that interns are being paid for, and the majority are now, actually has moved us into a new environment. And therefore, I say we have to make sure that internships are paid. Thank you.
Thank you, Nico. Very interesting. Volunteers, not interns. You talked a bit about integrated and experiential learning, and the fact that I've noticed too, students are expected to find their internships themselves now. I thought the wider point about enhancing inequality of society was an interesting one. And of course, you saved the best for last. 65% paid interns end up working for the company, and 50% of unpaid, as opposed to 50% of unpaid interns. So thank you very much. Without further ado, I'm going to move to Moritz in Germany and ask Moritz. He has 5 minutes to oppose the motion. Thank you, Moritz.
Great, guys. Dear audience, I do hope you did not get fooled by this very neat trick the proposals were pulling off there. Let's wind back a little bit. Judith, honestly, so we define an internship as paid work experience, and then we argue that an internship should be paid. Of course, an internship is not by definition paid work experience. Nice try. I know you're in linguistic, but that's actually, even for this debate, a little bit of a cheap trick here, right? Of course, we're talking about work experience. We're not talking about paid internships, work experience, as Perry quite rightly pointed out. And Nico, honestly, so those 35% who were not paid and therefore had more problems to find a job, that is because they were not paid as trainees. What did you get that correlation from? Right? This is cheap tricks. Let's be honest, this is cheap tricks. What are we really discussing here? Banning unpaid internships. In other words, let's reduce the number of internships. Let's get people only paid internships, reduce the number of opportunities to go and learn something in a company. Is that really what we want? Honestly, is that what you're proposing? The debate should be about substance, not about playing tricks with words. And the substance is you got good work experience and you got bad work experience. It has nothing to do with pay. We want to ban bad work experience. I'm not against paying internship. Of course, if a trainee gets paid, that's great, because it shows that the employer is committed and it's great for the trainee, etc. Don't get me wrong. That's not the point. The point is, do you want to ban high quality work experience places just because they cannot be paid or they are not being paid? For me, what really is work experience about? It is about the learning. And the question is, what are they learning? Not how much they are paid. It is not a business relationship. It's an education relationship. They are not joining a company as cheap labor, because even in your schedule of everybody needs to be paid, they're not going to actually get a big salary, are they? So why do you want to replace, by definition, by law, a learning relationship with a business relationship and make them into cheap labor? As I said, I'm not against at all that trainees get paid. That's great. I mean, and it's good that the majority actually get paid, but there are so many other forms of work experience which are so valuable for learning, for developing a young person. And it's not just about getting a job somewhere. It is much more than that. And we do not want to ban that. The word which really upsets me is in this proposal is the word ban. We have to ban it. Why? Because they're high quality work experience places. We do not want to ban them. On the contrary, we want to integrate them into the learning process. Right? So your builder is called Dave. That's good to know. I tell you a quick story about John, who is an American, and he was offered an internship at Disney World. By the way, he paid one. And on the first day, he was put in charge of the car parking. And of course, he complained heavily. Carpenters, sorry, I thought they were plumbers, but you know, cowboys anyway, right? No, seriously. John is put in charge of the car parking at Disney World. And of course, he's very upset because he's a very good student. And he goes back, complains to his university about, you see, I mean, I get paid, but what I get a lousy job out of it, right? So they just use me as cheap labor. And of course, the point is, they were not using it as a cheap labor because actually car parking was a mess. And they expect a university graduate to notice it's a mess and to come up with solutions. Be creative, be smart, come up with solutions. That's the learning process. It's not about doing a job, it's about the learning. So honestly, let's not go into rhetoric. Let's be clear here. Work experience doesn't need to be paid always. It can be really very good quality as long as people actually learn. And if they do get paid, of course, we're all very happy about that as well. And that's really my argument. Let's not ban unpaid work experience.
Okay, thank you very much, Moritz. Moritz' word of the day is cheap. He said Nico was playing cheap tricks, questioned the data, and then played a cheap trick of his own by saying banning, banning, banning 3 times. Anyway, that's good. We shouldn't turn learning into a business relationship, and the word cheap came in again and regards students as cheap labor. So I'm beginning to think I'm back on my farm in the UK with the chickens, with all the cheaping going on. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to throw this open now to every attendee. I would like you, if possible, to help me by raising your hand. Now, how do you raise your hand if you're not on video? If you go to the bottom of your Zoom screen, I think it's the 3rd icon in, it says raise hand, and there's a hand like this. So please raise your hand now. Don't wait until the end, or you may not get a chance to make your point. There's lots of things that haven't been raised yet. For example, the insurance position. Where do we stand with insurance for students if they're from a certain university, irrespective of whether they've organized the internship themselves or we've organized it for them? Where do we stand if students are paid? Where do we stand if students are unpaid in terms of insurance? I'm quite sure around the world there's some fairly scary things going on with students on internship that may not be insured at all. Certainly, it was something we tackled at our university a few years ago when it was raised by our council as a potential concern. And we do run into difficulties with differences between different jurisdictions around the world, and also different insurance stipulations. So participants, I'm looking for a hand to go up. So far, I've got no hands going up. So Nestor, I'm going to allow Nestor from the Philippines to talk, because I know Nestor has some experience in this area. I'm just trying to allow you to talk, Nestor, but it's, for some reason, it's not letting me do it. Nestor.
Kevin, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone.
Hi. What's your view? Are you kind of for or against it?
Actually, I voted for
This motion.
against. I voted for the choice number 2, but because it depends to the industry, Kevin, especially in the setup here in the Philippines. There are Americans, multinational companies that they have to pay their interns and even provide them the subsidized meal, just like the company where I work for. So, however, most of the companies here, they don't pay the interns, but what we are after, especially we are from academia, we are after for the long life learning of our students.
Okay, thanks, Nestor. I think you make a very good point of what the point might be for interns there. I've got 3 hands up now, so I'm going to go to Hope Mukogho. I hope I've pronounced that right, Hope. Please accept my apologies if I haven't. You can now speak. Hope.
Thank you so much. I am Hope Mukogho, as it pronounced in Malawi. I am on the first choice as banning the unpaid internship. Basically, some of the institutions, especially here in Malawi, particularly Africa, they have taken advantage of that opportunity to exploit the young people. That they will give a period of 1 year to say you'll be here for 1 year as an internship just for you to gain an experience. Then after that, that person will go, they will employ another one. So they will just use the human capital for free without spending anything on such people. Then at the end of the day, they are making more of the profit, or they are gaining at the expense of the young people who have just graduated. And these who have just graduated, they are failing to view out, maybe to showcase their skills and their innermost capabilities how they can be able to improve or they can make an impact into the society. So in one or the other, an internship, unpaid internship has come to exploit those who doesn't have an opportunity to enter into the system, to enter into the working environment. One. Number two, they have come to feel the new skills and abilities of the young people who have just graduated, and they have those they can apply. But since they have said, then they are banning out the new thinking or the creativity and innovation of the young people. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hope. I think I got it. You're calling from Malawi, and I assume you're speaking for the motion or against the motion?
I am speaking for the motion.
Okay, thank you very much, Hope. I've got two more hands up. Judith's very happy with you for speaking for the motion. I'm going to go to Kaponlawon Gwanwe now. I'm just going to allow you to talk. So I hope I've pronounced your name right. Ponlawon, I've now given you the right to talk. So please go ahead.
I want to say good afternoon to everyone. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. If you speak up, that's fine.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Ponao B. Guanu, and I'm from Liberia, West Africa. Let me say thank you to all of the panelists for this topic. I think this topic is very much important. My position here, I will be speaking for. I want to join that Dr. Judith Lamy to contribute to the propositions that interns should be paid. The reason why I think it is important that interns should be paid is because they themselves are bringing some level of expertise to the company in which they're going to be doing whatever job they're going to be doing. So Mr. Perry Hubbard talk about something that is the learning process. It is only at university level or school that people pay. But I want to disagree with his argument in the sense that when an intern is in a company or institution of work, he is not just only learning, but he is also contributing to that institution as well. So in so doing, for that intern to understand, to know that the contribution he's doing, that the employer is kind of like appreciating the fact that he has brought some level of innovation and some level of creativity and expertise to that particular area of work. I think it is necessary that that intern be given something that will encourage him or her to do more. So I support the proposition that interns should be paid. Thank you so much. Once again, my name is Ponao B. Guanu from Liberia. Thank you.
Thank you, Ponlawon, for making very clear argument and making both where you're coming from and where you're coming from in terms of your argument. Very, very clear. Thank you for that contribution. I'm now going to go to Evangeline Timbang. Evangeline, I've given you the right to talk. Please go ahead. And we have a lovely photograph of you.
Good evening to everyone.
Evangeline, you're very faint. We need you to either speak up or turn the volume up.
Yes. Do you hear me now enough? Do you hear me enough?
A little bit more if you could.
Okay.
That's
Louder.
better.
Okay, thank you.
Just imagine you're shouting at a member of your family.
Yeah, I'm going to shout now. I find the topic very, very interesting after handling the internship program of our students for the last 40 years. With the experience with that, we have placed our students in different hotels inside the country and outside the country. And I saw the difference. In our country, we don't normally have pay or allowances for the students, but they have their free meals, they have their special tip and so on and so forth, and their free use of uniform. But when we sent them to, say, Thailand or Singapore many years ago, they got the 75% of the minimum wage of the country. And it's like a training with an allowance, but it's not on a hiring scheme. They're not hired to work, they are trainees. So I understand of course, the concern also of the employers, I mean the companies, the hotels. After the pandemic, the more we have to understand the partners. We get into a memorandum of agreement with them that they will have to take care of our students in terms of learning. And it's okay if now they cannot afford to give an allowance, that's fine, because we are after the learning experiences, the exposure, the mentoring. That's more important to us. Now, if they do have enough budget, why not? But it's not for us to ban the idea of students not getting something, a monetary allowance out of the training.
You're getting a little bit faint again, Evangeline. If you could.
Okay. Sorry. I go for supporting partners, industry partners who may not be able to give the students allowances for the meantime. The ideal situation is for them to give allowances, not a pay, not a salary, because they are not hired to work. They are trainees, remember. So we appreciate those who can afford, those who can have budget. But if not, it's okay, especially this time. This is a very difficult time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Evangeline. I mean, I think you make a very good point, and it raises a bigger issue. And I'd like people to put their hands up if they want to comment on this, which is actually situations around the world in different countries and different jurisdictions change. I mean, I could see a time in the future when in maybe UK or Europe, it will be compulsory to pay students that are on that are on internship, but in other parts of the world that may not be possible. I perhaps maybe Singapore in future will require people to do that. I'm not sure whether I understood you correctly, that when you sent students to Singapore, they had to be paid 35% of the going wage. I think I heard you say, if I understood correctly. So I think you raise a very important point. And Evangeline, you put your hand up again. Please do speak. I haven't removed your permission to speak, so please speak. Go ahead. Go ahead.
75% of the minimum.
Again, you need to come closer to the microphone and speak up.
75% of the minimum wage during the time. Okay.
So sorry, Evangeline. Can you
75%, Kevin, not 25%.
It's very low volume. Okay, 75%, not 35%. Wow. Okay, Evangeline, thank you very much. So does anyone else want to comment either for or against the motion? If not, I'm going to go to our speakers, and I'm going to give each speaker 1 minute to summarize their arguments, but I will do this in reverse order in order to be fair to everyone. And once they've spoken, I will go immediately to the vote. And then if those of you that can stay on for 10 minutes afterwards, because this is the last debate of the year, we're going to have a bit of a social time for people to just say hi and say where they're from and maybe show their video. That would be very nice, because you don't just want to see our faces all the time. So I'm going to begin with Moritz, who's speaking against the motion. And Moritz, you have 1 minute beginning from now.
Okay, so once again, it's really nice if a trainee gets paid for their internship. Really appreciate it. But we cannot make it compulsory, because in the end of the day, an internship isn't by definition a job. It is a work, it is a work experience. And what we really need to measure is the quality of the work experience. So let's stay focused on the real question. Internship, learning experience, if paid, great. If it's a high quality learning experience for that particular individual and it's not paid, it's still great. We are not employers, we are educators, and that should be our focus.
Thank you very much, Moritz. I'm now going to go to Nico, who gets to get his own back on you. Nico, you have 1 minute to speak for the motion, but you need to unmute. That's it, beginning now. Thank you.
I don't want to directly say to Moritz, we're not busy with trickery, but we are not. The notion that more interns are getting employed versus those the paid ones than the unpaid ones is a fact. But I think what we need to focus on is that from the early days when internships was introduced, we've changed, and therefore it's not only a learning experience, but the student who's now an intern are bringing far more skills into the workplace, and therefore for that reason they need to be remunerated. And I agree with you that we can't treat all spaces the same, but I think as far as internships are concerned, we need to recognize that we're in a different space, and therefore we need different rules in this new space that we are in.
Thank you, Nico. I'm now going to go immediately to Perry. Perry, you have 1 minute speaking against the motion.
Well, look, lovely if they could all be paid, but let's be serious here. We've got small companies who can't afford to pay. We've got not-for-profits, which we've spoken about. We've got costs to the employer, where we've got mentoring costs, which you've heard about from our speaker, Vanji, from UST there. You've also got the insurance costs, which you raised. All those are costs to the employer. So as we have more internships, and what I would like to see is many more internships. Being a hospitality and tourism educator, we were some of the first programs to have internships. I believe there should be many more internships across many more degree programs. But many of those programs won't have a natural industry who would see this as training. And if you want a higher quality of internship, where they're spending more time with senior management, I think it's unrealistic for those to be expected to be paid. So as my colleague Moritz said, great if we can have them, but the reality is if we want more and we want different, then we shouldn't be banning them.
Okay, thank you, Perry. And last but not least, Judith, somehow you've managed to get the last word again.
Thank you. I am proud of the word banning. Unpaid work where other people are making money should be banned. Inequality should be banned. So I think if we value people, we value experience, and we value individuals, you ban unpaid work and you ban inequality. It's about equality and not exploitation. So ban these unpaid situations, please.
Thank you, Judith. You got the last word in again. Thank you, Judith. That's very good. I'm sure, David, your carpenter, not your builder, I apologize. Dave, the carpenter, would approve, and I'm sure Wayne, his apprentice, would as well. Okay. Now, guys, I'm going to go immediately to the polls. If you remember, 57% of you were in favor of the motion at the pre-poll, and 43% of you were against the motion. Have Moritz and Perry been persuasive? Let's see. Okay, so poll one, I've shared the results. We're now going to go, there's the results for poll one. I'm now going to let you vote for poll two, if the system lets me do it. Oh, wow, it's all changed. There it is. We've got agree and disagree. I'm launching it now. And you have a minute to make your mind up. Are you fans of Judith and Nico, or Moritz and Perry? Now, so far, it's kind of even, but there's many, many more of you to vote, so please vote. Judith sent a message to all panelists, true story, new kitchen to prove it, vote for Wayne. I need to see his haircut first. Okay, you've got 10 more seconds. Come on, guys. Some of you are not voting. You're what's known as lurkers. That's better. Some of you, that's woken a few of you up. Don't be a lurker. Have an opinion. Press the button. Do you agree or disagree? It's really tight. One vote on either side could turn it here. Moritz has now said, think about the consequences of banning. So any more votes coming in? Judith says, and inequality. Well, guys, I'm going to hold the poll there in 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, the poll is ended, and I'm now going to share the results with you, which are quite interesting. A close, but it's a win for Judith and Nico. They have actually increased their market share. They've moved from 57% to 60%, and Moritz and Perry have moved from 43% to 40%. So it was a pretty close call. And I'd just like to say thank you to all of the panelists for their contributions, plus our lively debate audience for speaking so forthrightly and making some excellent points that actually we hadn't necessarily thought about on the panel. So thank you very much. I'd like you all to hold on to stay. You don't have to do a conciliatory talk, Moritz. You can just.
I will do that anyway, so I don't have to, Kevin. First of all, I just want to say congratulations, Judith and Nico. This is actually a historic moment because it's the very first applied higher education debate I lost. And
oh dear.
Well, it's very nice.
And of course, I blame Perry for that, right?
Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah,
very nice of you to concede in the same way as you conceded in the same way as Bolsonaro conceded to Lula in Brazil. We're very grateful.
No, well done, guys. Well done. Very, very well done. Yeah.
We don't want another Trump moment, storming of the AppliedHE headquarters or anything like that.
Well, it shows that rhetoric always wins in the end, in the long run. Judith, you did really well. It was a neat trick, and the audience fell for it. So well done.
Okay, I'm going to hand back to Mandy now, and Mandy will take us into the little wine or coffee or tea break. So Mandy, over to you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. Right. Thank you, everybody, for this very interesting discussion. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Now, let me thank and express my appreciation to our lively and passionate debaters and, of course, our debate master, Dr. Kevin Downing. A big thank you to all of you, the participants, for joining us for this Squaring the Circle debate. This is the last episode of Squaring the Circle debate for the year. And now that travel restrictions are lifted, we are planning physical debates for next year. So do look out for our emailers. It could be as soon as the first quarter of 2023. So while I'm going through my closing presentations, my colleague Simon will be quietly upgrading all of you to panelists so that you will be able to meet and greet each other at the end of this event. So please do not decline when he's upgrading you. We'd love to see as many of you as possible. But please mute your mics for now till I've finished. Thank you. So the next fireside chat, also the last one for the year, is scheduled on the 7th of December at 8 p.m. Singapore time. And the topic is In Pursuit of the Best Models for International Student Recruitment. Hope to see you again for this webinar. We also organize on behalf of universities bespoke webinars where we will undertake all production, branding, and marketing, etc. So this is a series of exciting masterclasses that we are organizing jointly with the City University of Hong Kong. And so far, we've completed 3 webinars. The 4th and the last one is scheduled sometime in December. So again, please look out for our emailers. In February this year, we launched the AppliedHE Private University Ranking ASEAN, and we are now in the process of preparing the AppliedHE Private University Ranking Asia Pacific to be launched in 2023. The AppliedHE Private University Ranking is towards teaching and learning and employability, which are the main strengths of private universities. Now, we all know that private universities are often highly innovative, high-quality institutions that serve a large group of students, but they're often undervalued in other research-heavy university rankings. So we are evaluating private universities based on their key strengths, and we hope to shine a light on this often overlooked sector. So to all the private universities out there, please do join us for this private university ranking that is created specially for you. And for those of you with a deeper interest in the rankings, I highly recommend you checking out the AppliedHE Private University Ranking ASEAN Showcase publication, which contains ranking tables, an overview of the methodology, and rankings commentary by some of our panelists like Dr. Kevin Downey, Dr. Richard Holmes, as well as Professor Elizabeth Lee. You can download the showcase now from our rankings page on appliedhe.com. Graduate employability, or GE, is a key concern among higher education stakeholders, including parents, students, and government. This is still work in progress. We put in a lot of focus on graduate employability, which is why we aspire to present the Graduate Employability Index in each individual country. Right now, we have completed the GE for Malaysia and the Philippines, and we're planning a physical launch in these 2 countries as quarter of next year. And other GE indexes in the pipeline are South Africa, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, Taiwan, Indonesia, Hong Kong, Azerbaijan, and Kazakhstan. So if you are interested to be our local partner for this project, please contact us. And for branding strategies, we are developing an AppliedHE super app. We have Future. It's the first of its kind, an online networking platform created specially for the higher education sector. We have the Alumni Ready, which is a CRM. So now you can keep track, manage, and email your alumni from near and far of news and happenings of your institution anytime, anywhere, all backed up with data and all on one platform. We also have a news website called Extra Extra, now indexed by Google News. You can disseminate news. You can disseminate news and information on this, and we will send it out to the world. So far, these 3 sub-apps are ready and have been launched, and it is a complimentary service for you, so it's in your interest to take advantage of them. The next sub-app still in development stage is the Mobility and Exchange app. When this app is ready, it will be the perfect tool for your faculty and student mobility and exchange, be it on a national, regional, or international level. More sub-apps are in the pipeline, and they're all related to higher education, like universities, courses, student recruitment, summer schools, jobs, internships, scholarships, research, professional learning, micro-credentials, lifelong learning, and a whole lot more. Our aim is to provide a one-stop platform for all your higher education and beyond needs. We also have 3 evaluation tools, which also double up to meet your benchmarking and global branding needs. We have the all-round job ready rating to evaluate the quality of teaching and learning and employability of your graduates. It's organized around 22 employment clusters. So what this means is it can put a spotlight on every program that you have. We also have an English ready rating to evaluate the quality of English language instruction in non-English speaking countries. It's also a great marketing tool for the recruitment of international students. And the online ready rating, which helps your institution benchmark and promote its online programs and courses. These tools can translate into affordable strategies for global branding and marketing of your institution. And last but not least, as you know, we are the new kid on the block. We still are. And we're very grateful for all the support that we can get. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our very supportive sponsors, to the sponsors of the Squaring the Circle debate and Fireside Chat, City University of Hong Kong, Universitas Airlangga of Indonesia, and Education Insight of UK. And to the sponsors of the Private University Ranking ASEAN, my deep appreciation to APU, Asia Pacific University of Technology and Innovation Malaysia, City University of Hong Kong, and Sunway University Malaysia. A big thank you for all your valuable support given to AppliedHE. Okay, so thanks very much, everyone. But as Kevin said, please do not leave the room yet. This is the last AppliedHE signature sign-off for the year, and we want to invite you to experience a networking atmosphere that is as creative and as close as we can get to a physical networking environment. So the room is open. You can see each other, introduce yourself, say hi. And this is as much as we can do online in the name of networking. So please turn on your cameras, get a drink in hand, and over to you.
Hi guys, let's see some, it'd be nice to see some, here they come. That's better. Nice to see. Hi, Hope. Hi, Evangeline.
Wow.
Simon's on. Hi,
Hi, Manjay.
Hi.
Guys. Are you looking forward to when we can actually do this face to face? It'll make such a difference.
Yes. I hope you.
Hi, Palawan.
Hi, Perry. It's been a while.
Hey, hello, Nestor. How are you doing? Good to see you, man.
Hi, Joanne.
I'm doing great.
Hi, Joanne. Good to see you. We've got a picture of you and we've got your name. I don't know why it's got your name on another little box, but lovely to see you. Nice to see everyone.
Hello, Tafatsua.
Here in Hong Kong right now, we have a Typhoon 8, and I'm looking out on darkness and lots of heavy rain. So hi, Tafatsua. Good to see you.
Hello, how are you? Good to see you.
Where are you calling from?
I'm also calling from South Africa. And I enjoyed the debate, and would look forward to enjoying more and getting more insights to move higher education internationalization forward.
There's some of you guys from Africa and from Philippines. It would be lovely to have you as speakers. And I'm sure Simon and Mandy can follow up with you.
Yes.
Because you're going to have, I mean, I was very struck by, I think it was Ponlawan from Liberia. I was very struck that there's a different perspective that it's very important that we hear. And it'd be lovely to have some, it might have been Hope actually from Liberia, I'm sorry. But it'd be lovely to have you guys as speakers in one of our debates next year, particularly if it's a face-to-face one. You know, maybe we can do hybrid in the early days while universities' budgets catch up with our travel plans.
Yes.
You know, it's interesting, the different types of internships. I mean, a postdoc, do you want to call them interns or not? And Tafatsua can actually talk about that. I mean, he had a paid internship as a postdoc, and they make a difference. As I was saying before, they're bringing new skills into environments. It's gone are the days that we only look at interns of those that don't have skills and are placed into a space to get a new skill. But in any case, I agree with you, Kevin. There's a lot of insights globally that our colleagues could actually bring to the table.
Yeah, can I just give you an example? I've agreed to take interns at my farm in the UK, vet school interns, and teach them heavy animal handling, which is, you know, heavy horses, cattle, and so on, and the health and safety issues. And one of the big issues I'm coming across at the moment, it's good that I work at the university that provides the students, but is actually making sure I'm covered, because they're coming from Hong Kong, they're coming to the UK, and they're going to be doing work which is dangerous. Farm work is probably the most dangerous occupation in the UK in terms of the number of accidents, no matter how careful you are. There's heavy machinery. I'm a reasonably careful tractor driver, but I occasionally manage to run over various bits of equipment by mistake when I'm in a rush to do things. And, you know, God forbid that would be a person. So, you know, we really need the insurance issue. It's quite a big issue, I think. What do others think? Hi, Benji.
So before I can go on that one, Kevin, can I ask you a question? How much do you actually pay your interns, your trainees on the farm?
I do. I actually provide them. The deal is they have
free fruit and sleeping in the barn, right? That's what you provide.
The deal is, okay, you'll like this, Moritz. You might want to be an intern yourself. The deal is they get free accommodation in one of my holidays.
See, for sleeping in the barn.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
So free accommodation in one of my holiday lodges, plus they get fed. Plus on every Wednesday night, they have to listen to my band playing in the barn. So there's a bit of pain, but there's also, they're well looked after, and they get a little bit of spending money. So it's not a massive amount, but it's enough to make it highly attractive to our vet students.
Oh dear, lucky you're not being banned, my friend. That's right.
Yeah. I think this is a bit of a grey
something,
area.
That's why. Not nothing.
I think we need to investigate this a bit further. What do you mean with
we'll get the investigators around on him. That's right.
Well,
we'll visit you in prison, Kevin. We'll visit you. We'll bring you something.
The great thing is these guys are in their clinical years, so they're very helpful because they save me a lot of money on vets bills. So although I'm a very small business, I can afford to put them up for free, feed them for free, and subject them to our music for free.
Do you make them get their own food as well? They have to go into the fields and dig up the potatoes first. Yeah.
But in return, they get their hands on some prime horses and some prime cattle. So they have plenty of opportunity. What about elsewhere in the world? What's the practice? I mean, Nestor, you said
go now, I'm afraid.
The practice.
Okay, bye, Gary.
Sorry, I have another meeting I've got to run
to. Be in touch with
you. Really great seeing
Can you repeat your
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
The pandemic.
Bye. Benji, where are you calling from?
Hello?
You have to unmute. We can't hear you. That's better.
Yes, sir, from Philippines.
Ah, right. Lovely. Whereabouts?
Thank you very much for inviting us.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Whereabouts in the Philippines?
Manila.
Manila.
From Manila.
What about you, Joanne? Manila?
Manila City.
Joanne, whereabouts in the Philippines?
I'm Anne, and we're located at the southern part of Luzon. It's actually in Camarines Sur. It's a Bicol region. So if you were able to visit the Philippines, it's southern part of Luzon.
Lovely.
Yeah, very good.
I've been to Philippines many times, actually. Yeah. Oh, Tafadswa, where are you calling from?
Okay, I'm phoning from Queenstown in South Africa, about 300 kilometers from where Nico is. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, can. So quite close to. We should say goodbye to Judith. She has to go, by the way. Bye, Judith.
Sorry,
So,
I've got to go. Great session.
Hi,
Great
Judith.
to finally meet Moritz. I'm not going to do any more of these because I can't top that. Nico, dream team. Dream team.
Dream team. Yes.
Dream team.
Yes.
Good to see you. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
I heard, Kathy, you are asking something from me.
Yeah. I was just
I could not
asking
hear it clearly because the line is choppy.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just asking what your experience was, because you made some very interesting points at the beginning of that.
Yeah, because it depends on the companies here in the Philippines. Some of the companies that are not offering internship, and it's difficult for our students to, to find or look for a company that they can have their internship. Unlike the American multinational company like Intel Philippines, they provided such kind of internship with pay. Aside from the payment, they also receive other benefits like subsidized meal. They also have their allowance. Actually, they receive minimum wage plus overtime pay when they exceeded their number of hours. And if that employee are good enough to be hired, they will hire that employee, because they also provide training under the, they call it Intel universities. Just like Procter & Gamble, they have also their in-house university. So we also had the same thing at Intel before. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else want to comment or have any comment to make? Doesn't have to be about the debate. Go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to relate my experience as an international student. I'm originally from Zimbabwe, so I moved to South Africa to a university and did my honors there, my masters. And if you could get as an international student living in another country, if you were given the option between a paid internship and an unpaid one, you would definitely go for the paid one, because the support from where you are coming from is a bit thin. And even if it is okay, I would say you would need to pay bills there and survive there, and that's the experience of most international students who are moving abroad. So in that, from the perspective of a migrating international student, it would be critical.
Yeah.
If not important, to get a paid internship, and also the learning opportunity. Where I was, the level of quality was high all around, and getting paid really made a difference as a migrating international student.
Yeah, I think you make a very important point. I mean, certainly when I was a student, my family could not have afforded to have sent me overseas for an internship. The only opportunity I had to go overseas was to go picking grapes in France during the holiday time. So to have an internship was a luxury we just could not have afforded. You know, I had to go and earn some money to take me through the next semester.
That's true.
Yeah, so I think very interesting point. Any other comments from anyone? Evangeline?
Yes, I hope you could hear me now.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. During the onset of the pandemic, we had problems sending students to hotels, no, because hotels have to close, and they decided to, make their employees take a leave. So we also have problems with practicum or internship program. So we offered an alternative internship program we call the entrepreneurial internship. So instead of putting the students in hotels, we sought for partners, entrepreneur partners, because we are offering culinary entrepreneurship as the major in hospitality management. So we thought of partnering not with big hotels, but with entrepreneurs as an alternative program, an alternative course in internship. And these entrepreneurs are mostly our graduates, our alumni, and they were just so willing to teach the students how to put up their businesses just in time for the pandemic, because during the pandemic, when hotel closed, the food business flourished, the delivery service flourished, and everybody was cooking and baking in the internet. So I think the food business made it during the pandemic times, and mostly students now are interested in putting up their food businesses. Rather than getting employed, they will now prefer to be self-employed. That's for entrepreneurial internship. Entrepreneurial practicum, yes.
That's I think very, very important point. Guys, I'm going to have to go because I have another Zoom meeting, but please continue. I'll leave you in Mandy's capable hands. Lovely
But
to
one
meet
thing,
you all.
Kevin, before you leave, I just like to, share my experience. Not all about money. Just like in my case, I had my internship in one of the government agencies. It's a well-known government agency. After several years, 4 years ago, they would like to appoint me to be undersecretary of that agency.
Wow.
But I didn't accept because I rather stay to UST.
Okay, guys.
Loyal.
I'm going to say
Okay,
goodbye.
bye-bye.
I'll leave you
Okay,
with Mandy.
bye, Kevin.
Investment.
Bye, guys.
December for fireside chat.
So I just wanted to introduce me to you to our latest trainee,
Who is?
making food.
Uh-huh.
A machine.
Wow.
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 Uh-huh.
Yeah, so all the talk about food make me hungry. So I think I'll should get some lunch. But I'm afraid it's no longer a person; it's a robot.
Okay.
And we do not pay him very well.
All right.
Hey guys, I have to go now. Hey,
Yeah.
all the best and all the
Yeah,
best
see
from
you,
our campus here
Marie.
in
See you
Potsdam.
on the 7th of December for
Okay, all the best. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Mandy. Hi. Hi,
Bye-bye.
Simon. Hello.
Bye.
Hi. Bye-bye to everyone.